Hi there, welcome to Energetic Self-Defense. This is Grace Hart, and today we are talking about unknowingly being controlled. Oh, you might know you are as well. However, I'm speaking to the energies that have control over us that you might not have actually acknowledged. So what I mean by that is think about all the things that you resist and react to. So, for example, if you're one to listen to the news, what gets your goat? Or what you see out in the population and in society, what makes you just want to get on your soapbox? What do you hate seeing, hate looking at? You know, hate's an interesting word. Hate separates. It creates the energy of separation. And the funny thing is, when you separate, you might think, oh, I'm safe. You know, I've put up a barrier to that. I'm safe from whatever it is that I hate. You know, now that I know that I hate it, I'm not going to choose it anymore. I have a different point of view about that. If you hate something, you're separating from it energetically because you don't want to see it. And if you don't want to see it, that means you're not going to be able to perceive it in somebody. And so when someone walks up to you, if you just want to see the good, you're going to see the good. And if you created an energetic barrier, an energetic separation to the energies of abuse or whatever it is that you're resisting and reacting to, that you said, no, I'm never going to have that happen to me ever again, the actual opposite can happen. That by you separating from it and putting up a wall to receiving the information, that's when you get blindsided. That's when you go, oh my gosh, I didn't know that person had that in them. The same thing as, you know, when you hear about bad things happening from other people, they go, I didn't think that they were capable of that. They seem so nice, right? Don't forget, perpetrators pick people who want to see the good, who are compelled to, if in the face of them being rude, they go to, I wonder what happened. You know, I remember an abusive situation where a parent said, you know, with the child, that the child used to come in between her and her husband. And that was like that's why that person's that way. And yeah, absolutely. It might have contributed to a person being violent or abusive. However, it's not an excuse. So it's one thing to recognize the good in people, and you can even recognize why they got there or how they got there. However, that's not going to keep you safe, and it's not going to keep you thriving if you're not willing to see these energies. So today is all about you coming to an awareness of what energies have you separated from, because you don't want to have that happen again. If you're being taken advantage of, you don't want that to happen again. So the energy of being taken advantage of. And if you put up a separation, you're not going to see it in other people. And guess what's going to happen? You're going to get taken advantage of. And you're like, why does this keep happening to me? And I'm saying that maybe one of the reasons it keeps happening to you is because you've separated from receiving the information of those energies. Now, let me be clear. There's a very big difference between receiving the information and actually experiencing it. So you can receive the information that this person might be someone that's going to hit you or lie to you or manipulate you. That doesn't mean you've actually signed up for it. So using the example of a TV antenna or a radio antenna. So when you get into your car, for example, your antenna has the ability to receive all the stations, but you're not listening to them all at once. You have to choose. Oh, I don't feel like listening to the radio today. Or I want to listen to this particular channel. You get choice on what you experience. However, you want to be in a position to receive all the information so you can make a choice on what song you want to experience. And it's the same with people. When people come into your environment, you actually need to. You need to be willing to receive all their energies. They all have negative realities. They might be perpetrators, abusers. They might be doing it cognitively or unknowingly themselves. However, what's going to protect you is your awareness. And as I said, it's not only about protecting you. Energetic self-defense, yes, there's that element, but it's also about looking at what energies are going to generate and create. So when someone walks into your life, whether it's, to sign a contract or whatever it is, be aware. Be willing to receive all energies. Ask, energetically ask. Show me everything about this person. Show me all his negative or her negative realities. I want to see it all. And then you can perceive, okay, is this someone that I want to go out to dinner with or sign a contract with or get involved with work with or whatever it is? And none of this involves thinking. What it involves is you having awareness. And in my domestic violence podcast, I do say that for you to have total awareness, you need to be functioning, perceiving, knowing, being, and receiving all of you. And if you've experienced any form of trauma, you might be functioning, as I describe in the other podcasts, when you're functioning from you, it's like you're the center of the flower. And sometimes you can have disenfranchised or disassociative parts that are like petals. And if you're making a business decision or, choosing to be intimate with someone or whatever it is, go out on a date, and you're functioning from one of your petals, one of your disassociative parts, you're not going to get all the information because that part it's looking out for what's wrong. It's looking at, how they say when you're driving, don't look at the tree, don't look at the tree, like look at where you're going, because that's where you end up heading if you're going into an accident or a spin. So you've got to be willing to see and receive all energies. So it starts with this exercise. So this week, what I want you to do is go outside, whether it's to a shopping centre or whatever, out in nature or whatever it is. And when I say nature, maybe not so much nature, but just more society where there's lots of people. And just pay attention to what you don't like. And you already might know. What is it that you get up on the soapbox for? And you might say, well, hang on, it's a good thing to resist and react. Well, I've got a different point of view about that. When you're in resistance and reaction, you're in an energetic combat with that which you're resisting and reacting to. And it's one of the techniques perpetrators use. They engage you. They get you distracted in the fight. They get you distracted in defending yourself. They get you distracted in answering their questions instead of actually taking a step back and looking at what you want to create. They get you in survival brain. Now, just like when you're in, at the car and choosing a radio station to listen to, you're not in resistance or reaction. You're in choice. Oh, I feel like listening to the radio today. Oh, what music would I like to listen to? Is it a country station I want to, or is it a heavy metal band, or what is it? What do I want to listen to? But you're not going, oh, I don't want to listen to this when you get in the car. I'm not going to choose that station. I'm going, I hate that there's a station on that. This is the sort of stuff that just needs to be off. You're not in that energy. You're just getting in the car and it's like, yeah, I want to listen to some music. I'm going to choose to listen to some music. And you're aware that there's heavy metal stations or other country music stations or whatever it is that you might like or not like. But there's not this in your universe. It's just choice. And that's where I want you to get to. I want you to get to the place where you can see that, you can acknowledge, oh, that's a heavy metal station, that's a country station, that's a, top 80s station or whatever it is. And you just have choice and you're not in resistance or reaction. When you're not in resistance and reaction, then you have the ability to choose what's going to generate and create for you. If I listen to the station, what will it generate and create? Now, for me, heavy metal music doesn't work for me, right? So I know if I choose a heavy metal station, I'm most likely to get a headache. I'm probably not going to be comfortable in the drive there, so I don't choose it. But I'm not resisting and reacting to the fact that there is a heavy metal station that I could choose. Are you getting this? Same thing with a tree. Do you sort of go, oh, how come there's those brown leaves? Oh, why? You don't. You're just an allowance. Yep, it's a tree. There's things that happen in that tree, and sometimes the leaves fall off and sometimes they don't, and sometimes a limb might fall and, whatever, right? So look at what you resist and react to, who you resist and react to, what colours. I had a gentleman, for example, that resisted and reacted to potholes in the road. Just annoyed the hell out of him. And what I'm about to say to you, just if you can take a moment to really get this, anything and all that you resist and react to or feel a need to defend, to fight for, has control over you. What? Yeah, it is what perpetrators do. Now, if you're willing to have total choice on what's going to generate and create versus getting into an energetic rumble, so you can have the awareness, I don't like heavy metal music. You can have that awareness. And you also have the awareness that other people absolutely love it, each to their own. But if you've got the awareness that it doesn't generate and create for you, you have total choice. But if you're going to engage with the fact that it even exists, then it has control over you. It is controlling you. Now, I do speak about the circles and circles and circles, and I give the example of a person who's in a cupboard, a closed cupboard. All they can see is the cupboard. And then there's a person outside of that, say in the room, and they got a different view. They can see from the top, they can see the room, and they can see what's in the cupboard. And then there might be another person that can see the whole house. And then there might be another person who's got a vantage point of seeing, the whole country and the house in the country and, the room in the country and the cupboard in the country. They've got a greater vantage point. Now, where I'm speaking to you from, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. And this is where you've got to trust your own awareness. I'm not an expert. All I know is that if you're getting distracted and wanting to get into the argy-bargy of the right and the wrong and the good and the bad, what I'm saying is, what if you don't even need to get into the right and the wrong of it? What if you can just recognize, there's something there that's, I don't like. And then you go into, is it something I can change? Is it something that I'm required to do anything about? And if it is, great. I was with a gentleman who was a heart surgeon on a plane, and there was a call out. Someone was having heart issues. And are there any doctors on board? Now, logically, he should be putting up his hands straight away because he's a heart surgeon. It's a heart problem, right? But this guy was willing. He was willing to see who showed up and be willing to be in awareness of, is this something I'm meant to contribute to? And it was really funny. So he went up to the front of the plane, and there were a couple other doctors as well. And with his awareness, he got a very strong awareness he wasn't meant to be the one to assist. It was when I say a regular GP. And so he said, I'm here if you need me, but I get that this is something for you to do. Long story short, the families met each other, and because of that connection, two people fell in love and have been together for many years. So this is where this person that I was with, they had the awareness of a greater vantage point. Whereas someone in the cupboard might go, you're the most qualified. You're a freaking heart surgeon. You need to do this, not a GP. Like, of course, if you weren't there, thank God for the GP, but this is your, expertise. You're doing the wrong thing, right? However, if you're willing to have a bigger vantage point, and how do you do that when you're in a cupboard? Well, one thing can be to recognize that maybe you are in a cupboard. And if you're resisting and reacting, that's you really closing the cupboard doors and focusing on what you don't want to see and what you don't like, rather than asking the question, what's it going to generate and create if I do this or say this or engage with this? So what if you don't need to be focused on the right or the wrong or in resistance or reaction to change anything or to be a contribution? What if we all functioned from our gifts, talents, and abilities and awareness? That's the world I see. So as I said, this week, just focus on the things that really bug you, that you want to go into resistance and reaction of. When people are being a certain way or a company's being a certain way or whatever it is. councils, or you hear something really offensive on the news or, in your media. And where I want you to get to is, yes, you can acknowledge that there's some terrible things or whatever it was that upset you. You can acknowledge it. You're not saying it's not, for example, murders. It's not okay for someone to take a life. It's completely natural and healthy to have that response of, this is not okay, we need to stop this. However, you don't stop it by being in resistance or reaction of it. You stop it by going, okay, there's murders going on. Is there something that I can contribute to this? And if there is, absolutely do it. But contribute from a greater, not from a logic. The gentleman that I was with was willing to contribute if he was required. He didn't want to go into a conclusion because he was a heart surgeon that was his job and obligation because he was more qualified. He was willing to read the room. He was willing to read the energies. And that is energetic self-defense. He was saying something about surgeons being sued. And he said, it's really interesting. The evidence is that if you truly care about your patient, even if you did make a mistake, they're very unlikely to sue. Whereas if you are an energy, that they're just a number, you don't really care about them, you're abrupt, you're rude, or whatever it is, and then there is a mistake made, it's almost 100% that they're going to sue. And he has this thing of energetic self-defense in his own way because he truly cares about his patients. So if you're willing to look at this week, where are you getting distracted by the narrative, by the resistance reaction? How many people do that? They sit there and complain about the government or complain about whatever it is they're complaining about, but are they actually asking a question on what can I do to create change with that? Or is there anything I can create change with that? Because if you can't, then it's no. I couldn't help that person having a heart attack. I didn't even need to ask that. Well, actually, that's not true. I did ask because energetically you can still help. You can be a comfort. One of the things I've learnt with post-traumatic stress, if someone's having a flashback straight away, the best thing you can do is validate their reality, which is that they're not where they think they are. If they think that they're in war when really they're in a shopping mall, you've got to validate that they're in the war, and then the resistance and reaction goes, and then they're able to come back to what's actually true and real, that they're in a shopping mall. So if you can think of it like a punch, if somebody's done something or you've heard something or you've seen something, witnessed something that's horrible, it's like a punch coming at you. If you resist and react to that punch, then you're engaging with it. And it's got your attention and it's taken you out of possibilities, because when a punch is coming at you, are you looking around? Are you looking at the beauty of life? Are you looking at what you can generate and create? No, you're in survival brain because a freaking fist is coming at you. So you have laser beamed, you've gone from total awareness to survival brain. You've dropped from the part of your brain that has possibilities and memory and, consciousness and all of that, and you've come into your survival brain where you have no access to any of that. And you're just focusing on the fist. Is that going to change the world? Yes, you can have healthy discussion about what's going to create, what's not going to create. But the energy of resistance reaction, defending for and against, is no different to being in survival brain, where you just lost all capacity to generate and create and be in possibilities. So coming back to the title of the podcast, Are You Unknowingly Being Controlled? This is what I'm talking about. If you're hypervigilant to all the things that you've separated from and you don't want to see, that very thing has control over you. And you not wanting to see it is the very reason why maybe it keeps happening for you and to you. So it's your invitation to get out of resistance and reaction, out of defending for and against. You don't need that to create change. You already know you don't like it and you'd like to create change with it. Great. If you can, do it. Some questions that you can ask is, if I choose this, what will it create? If I choose this, what will it generate? And don't go into thinking stinking. You're asking questions to perceive the energy. So if, for example, the gentleman that was really, hated the potholes on the road, I said to him, when you go into resistance reaction of the potholes, what happens? What does it generate and create? And I meant energetically. And he says, I can feel my heart, I start sweating. And I said, does it create a change with the potholes? And he just looked at me and he said, oh my goodness, no, it doesn't. So I'm giving myself stress, using my time to generate and create something that's hurting my body, that's not even going to create change with the thing that I'm in resistance and reaction with. And I went, yep. So you and you alone get to choose your energies. But what we tend to do is we conclude instead of looking at what's actually there energetically. And I can tell you, if you're willing to get out of those energies of resistance, reaction, defending for and against, for example, you're going to have more access to possibilities, and you're going to have more access to your gut. And this is the world I know, where we function from our very beingness, where we're not thinking, we're actually creating, where we're not in judgment, we're choosing a greater reality. And the only person that can create a reality for you is you. Going back to hopping in that driver's seat and turning the radio on. Only you get to choose what music, i.e. experiences, you're willing to listen to. However, like I say in my domestic violence podcast, if you're not functioning from your very beingness because you've been wounded, you've had an injury to your personality due to violence or abuse, or just the shock that someone could be so cruel or mean, then you won't have as much access to your gut, and you won't have as much access to receiving all the energies available. A bit like a broken antenna, where you can just maybe get the ones that are kind of close to you, the signals that are close to you, but the ones that are sort of in the distance or that you've separated from, you can't quite hear. And the beautiful thing is they've proven scientifically now that your gut cannot be perpetrated on. So that intuitive, all-knowing, all-perceiving, all-being part of you cannot be perpetrated on. Where we get into trouble is our ability to be in that place and space of all-knowing, to function from awareness. And what gets in the way are things that I do mention, so I don't want to sort of say the same things in different podcasts. So if you're finding that that's true for you, that you think you've got a bad gut, I'm telling you haven't got a bad gut. Your gut's fine. What's happening is because of trauma, you have your capacity to perceive that, to be in that space, is reduced. And a big part of that is the trauma brain. That if you're functioning from that the majority of the time, then you're not able to come from that place and space of awareness as much as you would like. So have fun this week, pay attention, and when you get that kind of come up, that resistance reaction, just take a moment and go, okay, get the energy of what you're like when you don't resist and react. And I use that example of a tree. You don't resist and react to a tree where it's at in its journey, whether there's brown leaves there or, a flower that's just coming up or whatever it is. You're not standing there going, you're just, oh yeah, that's a tree. So you know that energy. You know the energy of true allowance. You're not in resistance and reaction of it. And then, for example, if that tree fell down across your driveway and you couldn't drive out, then you'd probably get to the, receiving of the energies of frustration or being late to work, or, that there's different energies that come up. but before that tree did that and it was just being tree, chances are you didn't have a resistance reaction to the tree. So you know the energy of what it's like to not resist and react. So when you do get the energies of resistance reaction, pay attention, because there's probably something there to pay attention to. But where you're going to create the most change is not to stay in the resistance and reaction, to actually get out of the cupboard and have that vantage point where you're willing to receive all energies, because then you'll know exactly what to do and what to generate and create from a place of empowerment and true creation and true choice. All right, have a beautiful rest of the week, and truly what else is possible for you. And remember, the more you become energetically aware, it is the best defense you can have. And more importantly, when you become aware of energies, you can truly create the life that you know is possible. You can create and generate because you recognize, oh, that's the energy of gratitude. Oh, that's the energy of, spaciousness, of kindness, of joy, of enthusiasm. Oh, I get to choose these energies just like I get to choose a song. Oh my goodness. And I've just been addicted to some radio stations because I've been wounded in the past. Okay, I get to change this. I get it. My radio station was sort of stuck on the trauma channel. I can change this. I can unlearn this. I can create a life and living of greatness, whatever that looks like for me, one day at a time. But it starts with recognizing energy is your very first language. If you're willing to be energetically aware and have energetic self-defense, it is one of the biggest gifts that you can choose and be for us all. All right, I'll catch you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.